All right, hello everyone. We're ready to go ahead and get started here. Today we're going to be talking about Google's local service ads, the Google guaranteed ads you've probably seen. If you're not aware of those yet, those are basically Google's answer to the pay-per-lead platforms like Angie, Home Advisor, Houzz, and so many other of those pay-per-lead platforms, except that these leads are coming through Google's own search engine. So here's what we're going to cover today. What are Google local service ads? Where are these ads active? How does this ads platform actually work? What is different about these ads versus Google's pay-per-click ads? We're also going to talk about how you can kind of jump on board what so many other remodelers, builders, and home improvement companies are doing if you haven't started already, if you haven't heard of these before. We'll also talk about what it takes to get the best results from these ads, and then ultimately how you can maximize your results with these ads and truly get the best return on investment for your marketing dollars. If you've not been following my workshops in the past, I'm a former home remodeler and custom home developer, also author of the book Internet Marketing for Contractors and Builders, How to Triple Your Sales by Leveraging the Power of Online Marketing. Also an associate member of the NAHB and the Denver HBA, as well as NARI and the NKBA. I am an admitted computer geek, love all the SEO stuff. And more importantly, I've worked with remodelers, builders, and contractors all across the country. Enough about me, really. This is really about what Home Remodeler does. This is what we do. We only work with builders, remodelers, and contractors to help them take their internet marketing to the next level. Essentially, we eat, sleep, breathe digital marketing for our industry in order to help you take your marketing efforts to that next level, keep scaling your income. When it comes to being successful online, it comes down to what we kind of call omnipresence. According to the definition, this is really what amounts to being seen anywhere and everywhere online, thus increasing your brand awareness and maximizing your opportunities. The first principle is to drive leads in order to maximize your opportunities. This can be through organic SEO, through paid ads, even reactivating your current customer list to see if you can get them to do another job with you. Maybe even send some referrals your way, give you a review to really boost your brand. What we call customer reactivation, in other words, get those customers working for you. The second principle is to maximize your brand impressions. In other words, the more people see you and see your brand, the more likely they are to trust you, the more likely they are to buy from you. Remember, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. We've all heard that one before. And then the third principle is to maximize conversions. This means making sure that your website is built to convert, making sure you have lots of great online reviews, and making use of automation to nurture your leads. The key is that no matter which marketing channel we're talking about, you must be effectively converting those leads in order to maximize your sales. So some of you may be wondering, what are the Google local service ads, those Google guaranteed ads? Those are the three lead ads that you see horizontally across the top of Google search results. These are the results with the most commercial intent, meaning Google knows what this consumer has typed in, and Google knows that they are looking for a specific type of contractor. In other words, it's a consumer with buyer intent. In this search here, this example I pulled up, the keyword is remodeling company Austin. So that has commercial intent. They're looking for a company to do business with. And now, on the other end, versus a search for something like, how much does it cost to remodel a kitchen? Which could just be consumers kind of in the planning mode and doesn't necessarily point to actual commercial buying intent. And then a couple features of the Google local service ads are that one, Google guarantees these leads for consumers. Google guarantees that this consumer will get what they paid for, and the contractor won't end up ripping them off in some way. This is part of Google's system for verifying contractors before they can advertise it here. So we'll talk more on that later. And then the second thing I want to point out here is that Google's using tracking numbers on these ads so that they can qualify and quantify these leads and then charge you accordingly, which is that pay per lead fee. Now, the benefit of this being a recorded call means that you can dispute the lead charge with Google if you think it wasn't a qualified lead. For example, the consumer wanted a new kitchen countertop instead of an actual kitchen renovation, then you would be able to dispute that. Another great feature about these ads is that you get your own local services ads profile, and you can optimize that. You can add all of your business info, showcase your services, feature photos of previous jobs, and of course, include your own Google reviews. And then so why Google local service ads should matter to you? When it comes to looking for home service providers, a full 87% of consumers will use Google for that search. It is basically the number one place that consumers are looking when they need your services. And a big part of that's because they're right there at the top of the results, of the search results. Those are the first things that are showing up. That's what Google positioned them there so they can actually win those jobs and then steal them away from Angie Home Advisor and those other lead gen platforms that do pay per lead. And another important feature is that when it comes to Google search results, as I mentioned, the leads are coming up right there at the top, and they're doing it in both mobile and desktop search. They're even above their own pay-per-click ads. So that really shows you how much emphasis that Google's really putting on these ads. They're putting them on top, and they out-trump everything when it comes to positioning and that visibility in the search results. And then, of course, as I mentioned, there's no higher search intent type of consumer than a customer who is actively looking for your services at that point in time, and then having them find you right there at the top of the results. That's going to be key for you. And then lastly, with the local service ads and any marketing channel really, is you must have a plan to win. As a good friend of mine says, it's marketing, not magic. You must have a plan on how to handle and nurture these leads. So how to do local service ads and how do they impact search? When it comes to to Google ads, this is Google, right? They get to choose to dominate the top of the search results page between Google's local service ads and then their own pay-per-click ads. What we know is that those two platforms get about 25% of the clicks by users. This is huge for those advertising on Google. This can give you a really big competitive advantage in capturing more sales opportunities. And then below that, you have, the important maps section, which captures a lot of the traffic in that coveted 3-pack of maps results. And then the remaining traffic goes to the organic results below that, where companies like Yelp and Angie and the BBB and others work so hard to be prominently featured, as well as other competitors of yours. That's where their websites will show up. That's where your website's going to show up if you're doing really good SEO. So you'll see some of those well-positioned local contractors that are competing to be above Angie, to be above Yelp, if you're doing really good SEO. So it's really about just trying to get as much digital real estate on page 1 of Google as you can. And then, so how do you get started with Google local services ads? First, you must complete Google's local services ads application. Part of this is Google running a background check on your company, which includes verifying your business license, your business insurance, as well as an employee background checks. These are done by third parties that Google hires. Pinkerton Consulting was one of the first on board, but I know they have more third-party vendors now running all these background checks for you, verifying all this stuff. Google's not in that business. They just want to make sure that you're verified before you start with them. You're a legit company, in other words. And then once approved, by Google, you pay for leads on a pay per lead basis. So generally, these lead prices for remodelers will be about $50 per lead. But this also varies between different geographical markets as well as between different types of leads. These leads aren't available for everyone. Some services may show these leads, some services may not. So that's what you got to kind of research. If someone just posted, I'll answer really quick. Patrick posted, if you post a local services ad, do you still show up in other sections like AdWords, SEO, et cetera? Absolutely. These are all separate platforms. So Google local services ads, Google pay-per-click ads, Google Maps is your Google business profile, and they also show local services ads in there. And then Google organic search are just the best ranking companies or websites like Yelp, Angie's, that have earned their way into the organic section via the SEO that they're doing. So you can show up in all four. And again, that goes back to that, own as much digital real estate as you can. Try to be in four places. Be in the local service ads. Be doing pay-per-click to maximize your lead flow. Be in the maps in that 3-pack on page 1. And then be down there in organic. Have such good SEO that your website is one of typically 2, 3, or 4 local companies showing up competing with Yelp and the BBB and all those others. So you can literally have 4 places on page 1 of Google. And that's that omnipresence that we're talking about, right? Just keep showing up everywhere. And people will just naturally assume like, wow, this company must really have it together. They've earned their way to Google. They're all over the first page of Google. You've earned your way there, but you've also paid your way there. But, consumers don't really think about that all the time. They just think, wow, you're everywhere. You must be a good company to work with. So that's really key, to try to get in as many places as you can. Like I said, just try to do everything you can to get as many leads coming in. Some industries don't have local service ads yet, like a custom home builder. I see a couple of those on the calls today. You're not going to show up for custom home builder, but you will show up for general contractor. So then you maximize all your general contractor keywords and then make sure you're doing SEO for general contractor keywords. Eventually, custom home builders will be a keyword that Google will have as part of the local service ad. So you just kind of want to stay ahead of the game here. But the prices will vary. The prices are going to shift over time. There's a good chance prices will go up over time, just like they did for Google's pay-per-click ads, which those paying for those clicks now, if you're doing pay-per-click, it's expensive, but typically the return on investment's there. And so that's what really matters, is ROI. Remember when Google clicks were pennies on the dollar, even maybe a few bucks per click, if any of you were doing PPC way back then, and to where they're at now, where some clicks cost $30, $40 per click, sometimes even $100, even a couple $100 just to get a click. Now that's not a lead, that's not a phone call, that's just a click. So it just keeps getting more and more expensive. So that's why it's a good chance, now to get in while the pay-per lead prices are cheaper on Google's platform, because they're only going to go up. They're not going to lower them. They're trying to gain more and more market share, and they're trying to steal as much volume as they can from those other lead gen providers. So just expect prices are going to keep going up. As we know, prices never go down over time. With inflation we're seeing, inflation's down, but no one lowered those prices. We're still paying the same. And that's just what people do. That's what companies do. They take advantage of, hey, the prices, they made it up to here. Let's just keep it here. That's our new baseline now, the new low bar, the new normal, basically. The great thing about Google local service ads is that you don't pay unless you get a lead, unlike Google pay-per-click, where you're just paying for tons and tons of clicks. You may be getting no leads, but you're paying for the clicks. Google local services ads, you're not paying unless you get the lead. It needs to be a legitimate call, a legitimate lead. So really my advice is to really take advantage of these leads sooner rather than later, while you can. Again, here are the requirements for the remodeling industry in particular, and realize that this may vary a bit amongst different home improvement industries. But in general, though, we're talking about background checks for the business owner, possibly employees as well. as well as insurance and other license verifications. And then in terms of services that you can advertise for, this includes different types of remodeling jobs, general contractors, builders. I talked about that difference, countertops, flooring, HVAC, amongst all the other home improvement services out there that are currently available with Google Local Service Ads. And then next, you simply set a weekly budget for how much you want to spend. In general, you want to set a budget as high as you can, maybe even a bit higher, knowing that Google is not going to send you that many leads typically. And then you can always adjust this any day that you want. As you monitor your lead flow, you can adjust your budget down, up, any day, any time of day, as much as you want. It's not as sensitive as the pay-per-click platform, which is really based on bidding and auction and your budget. Google doesn't want you messing with that every day, but with the Google Local Service Ads, you can certainly do that. Say for example, you set a monthly budget at $2,000 here, which means $500 per week, which is $100 per weekday. And at the aforementioned lead cost of about $50 per lead, now you can expect around 2 leads per day in the best case scenario. And I say that because you're not going to get everything you want. Just because you set the budget doesn't mean Google is going to fulfill that order for you, in other words. And then once you spend your budget, your ads go offline. And so again, this is a good reason to set your budget as high as you can, and then monitor the lead flow closely so that you don't, blow the budget, you don't run out of budget, but you also don't, end up spending $5,000 when you only wanted to spend $500. Typically, it's not going to happen because Google just won't send you that many leads. What they're trying to do right now is spread the leads out as many contractors as possible. They think of contractors as their customers. They want to have as many customers as possible and not just 1 or 2 customers buying everything. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, as the old saying goes. So you're also going to get a different number of leads from day to day, week to week. So it will vary a lot, but you'll never want to go over your designated budget. You just pay attention to that. And then finally, you can dispute any leads that are not a part of your service offerings. For example, if you only list kitchen remodeling and someone calls in for just countertops, that is a lead that you can dispute. But if someone calls in for a small kitchen remodel that's well below your budget minimum, maybe not even realistic, hey, I want a $20,000 kitchen. We know that you can't even, get materials and supplies for that nowadays. You're still going to have to pay for that lead, unfortunately. That person wanted a kitchen remodel. It just wasn't within your budget. It wasn't even realistic at all, but Google's not going to go for that argument. So you will pay for leads, some that are not actual qualified sales appointments. But in the end, it's going to measure out. It's going to even out to where you are getting some good leads there. And you're going to get some leads that just, they don't meet your qualifications. They don't meet your low budget threshold, something like that. But this is marketing, right? Not everyone pans out and becomes a paying customer. So just realize the search intent is there. And then now we need to qualify them, maybe even educate them and let them know that a $20,000 kitchen is not happening no matter who they call. And so maybe by being the educator for them and really taking some time to build that relationship, maybe you do end up winning their business in the long run once they realize, wow, I get 20,000, not going to happen. We're going to reevaluate and come back and talk to you then. So that's always a possibility. And then what leads can be disputed here? Solicitations can be disputed. People that are calling you, trying to sell their own services to you. Obviously, you don't have to pay for those. Spam calls, pre-recorded robocalls, that type of junk. You don't have to pay for any of those leads, they're not even leads, any of those calls. Also, if you don't serve a location, and that location wasn't listed on your profile that you set up, you don't have to pay for those calls as long as you decline that call. Remember, Google is listening to those calls, so you can't try to work any angles here either. Don't try to be sneaky. They're going to be listening for the area mentioned and compare that to your service area listed on your profile. If it's not in your service area, then be vocal. Let the caller know that you're not in their service area, that you have to decline the job, and then end the call with them. and then you won't be charged for that. Google won't even try to sneak that by you like some of the other lead gen platforms do. You know how they try to sneak some of the leads by, make you dispute? They're counting on people not disputing. They're counting on you not calling and taking the time to do that. Google's a little more, I guess, meticulous with the calls they listen to. They're just trying to be a little more honest, is the way I would put it. So they will generally not even count those calls, but you should still definitely be listening for all your calls, making sure you're not paying for any that you didn't actually qualify for. And then calls for services that you don't offer are also calls that you don't have to pay for. So make sure you specifically designate your services on your profile, all the different services that you may be offering, and don't include any services that you don't offer, because you will end up paying for those calls if Google can prove that, hey, it's right here on your profile. You said you offer gutters and siding as well as roofing. So it's not just roofing calls, maybe. Feedback that we've gotten from active users so far that have been using these Google local service ads since they launched. And they launched a few years ago in California, and then they kind of worked their way eastward, and then they start spreading across different industries. So we're getting more and more industries represented, more and more geographical areas, but still they're not served for everything. But what we found is, from feedback from all of our clients that are using these from coast to coast in different industries in home improvement, is that these leads are definitely cheaper than Google pay-per-click leads when it comes to cost per lead, and hopefully everyone's looking at their cost per lead. You should always be monitoring that across all of your different marketing channels, so you can really ascertain what is your best cost per lead, what is your best marketing channel. Maybe that's where you put more money into that channel versus others. But when you think about it, at an average of, say, $50 per lead, and if you're closing, say, 1 out of 4 jobs, that means your cost per customer acquisition is 4 times 50 equals $200. And so when it comes to remodeling, most remodelers, if not all that I know, will pay $200 for a lead all day long in order to get that booked job. $200 for a $50,000, $100,000 job, even $200 for a $3,000 job. That's still going to be great return on investment. So definitely better cost per lead. And then these leads are also of higher quality than those other lead gen platforms like Angie, Home Advisor type leads, House, Thumbtack. Google in general provides leads that have the best commercial intent, buyer intent, in other words. So these leads are always better than the other lead gen platforms out there. I think most people, I know folks, some folks I see on this call that hate House, hate Home Advisor. We help them get away from that treadmill of just crappy leads, tire kickers, price shoppers, looking for that contractor to come in with the lowest price, and boom, that's the one we're going to take. So these are definitely going to be higher quality leads. Google just has search intent. This is what people come to Google for, not to find a bunch of contractors a price shop, not to go to Facebook and waste time on their boss's dime, and then an ad pops up and maybe they click on it, maybe they don't. Google really leads the industry when it comes to search intent. And that's what you guys are interested in, is commercial search intent, consumers looking for your services so that you guys can start a relationship together. Now, these ads aren't perfect either. You're still going to get some price shoppers and tire kickers out there. So there will be that. There's no way you can eliminate that, obviously. But one key to success is to make sure you're following up quickly with these consumers. Quick follow-up, and I mean like within 5 minutes, like quick follow-up really helps you increase your conversion rates. Because remember, if you're not following up, these people haven't heard from you. They don't know if you're going to call back. Maybe they didn't even leave a voicemail. But they don't know if you're going to call back. Are you just another one of those home improvement contractors that never returns their calls? I hear about this in the marketing industry over and over and over. I don't know how people stay in business, but evidently they're doing okay by not answering their phone or returning calls. But you know what happens when you don't answer your phone call, when you don't take that incoming call from a customer? Everyone knows what happens, right? That customer goes right back into Google and they start clicking on the next result. They're trying to get a job done. They're on their lunch break, maybe. They're trying to make some quick calls. They want to get some appointments set up. So quick follow-up is the key in any marketing channel, but especially for these Google local services ads. And then ultimately, these leads are still providing solid return on investment. for all the partners that we're working with that we help manage these ads for them. Remember in that example above, closing 1 out of 4 leads at $50 a leads means you book that job for a mere $200. So $200, maybe you make 50,000, 100,000, whatever that may be. You do the math on that return on investment, and that's going to be a pretty astronomical number. So something to definitely pay attention to when you're looking at ROI. Again, why this is a no-brainer for remodelers and all home improvement contractors is you show at the top of the results where your clients are looking. You're catching the first eyeballs on the page, the first eyeballs that have commercial search intent, they have buying intent. And then you're only paying on a per lead basis, which makes it a lot more economical. It also has lower costs than those other lead gen platforms as well as PPC. And not only is the cost lower than, say, Angie, Home Advisor, House, all those, the leads are obviously of higher quality as well than these other platforms, where you also have to compete with 5 or 10 other contractors all racing to follow up with that lead notification they just got. And now all 5 or 10 of you are bombarding this poor homeowner. And by the time, if you're at the bottom of the list, you haven't followed up within a couple hours, or half a day or whatever, by then the consumer, they don't even want to talk to you. They're just like, I found someone already, click. And you're still paying for that lead. And the beautiful thing is with the Google Home Services leads ads, they're calling you directly. It's coming straight to your phone. That lead's not going out to 5 or 10 contractors. It's not going out to anyone else but you. They called your phone. And then, the other advantage is the ability to modify your budget as needed as lead flow goes up or down. It's a great advantage that you can take advantage of that and just kind of monitor that budget, up it if you need to. All of a sudden, you got booked with a bunch of jobs. You'd love to take more jobs, but you also don't want to pay for those leads if you don't think you can serve them. So maybe then you just drop your budget or turn your ads off. You can do that very, very in a fluid-like manner, where you can't with Google pay-per-click. You shouldn't be messing with that stuff that often with pay-per-click. So in a nutshell, there's really no reason to not sign up. Before I talk about signing up, just to show of hands, who is doing local service ads? Anyone out there already doing these? While I wait for some responses to come in, another question from Patrick. Do you or the caller know if the call is being monitored, recorded by Google? So yes, Google is definitely listening to the calls. They're going to figure out, was that a lead or not? And they're going to record that, because when you dispute it, they need to come back and determine if that was a lead or not. So yeah, they're absolutely listening to the calls. They're recording the calls, and all of the clients that we work with, we record all the calls too, so that we can help them prove that out. We can say to Google, look, this wasn't a lead and this is why. At the 1 minute, 17-second mark, the customer even admitted that this is not, what they're looking for, or something like that. So whatever you need to do to really point that out. So yes, these calls are being recorded. The client doesn't know that. Google doesn't, I don't think Google has to do that. I actually looked into this a couple of weeks ago to see if Google has like a whisper function where at the beginning of the call, Google says, something for quality and control training purposes, this call is being recorded. We hear that a lot. Google's not even doing that. I think Google just says, we write the rules. We'll play by the ones we want, and other ones we'll just ignore. But yeah, those calls are being recorded by Google. So next, how do we get signed up for Google local service ads? So if you work with us, it's easy. Just tell your account manager, and we'll get you signed up for that. We help monitor all that for you. We help optimize your page, dispute leads, coach you on all kinds of stuff. So that's the real easy part, working with us. If not, though, it's really simple to sign up on your own. You don't have to pay someone to sign up for you or to manage these for you. You do need to manage them, though, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But if you want to get signed up, just go to ads.google.com, local service ads. It's not a complicated process. Just follow the instructions and upload the documents that they're going to ask for. And then how does the ranking work? This is probably one of the biggest questions we get. How does the Google local services ranking system really work? There are really many variables that come into play here. We talked about some of the great benefits already, but one downside to be aware of is that you can't just dial in a number and tell Google you want that X number of leads each month and then expect that you're going to get that. Unfortunately, it's just not that easy. There's actually an algorithm at work here that determines who gets in that top 3 of results across the top of the Google search results on page 1 there. Remember, there are probably multiple contractors, dozens, maybe hundreds, signed up for these already in your local area. Probably more if you're in a bigger metro area and you're still not signed up with your own company, in remodeling, roofing especially. These guys have been doing this for 2-3 years now. And if you're in the bigger metro areas that got introduced to these ads first. So one big factor on who gets to be in results is your proximity to potential customers' locations. If there are multiple options for companies closer to that customer's location, and Google knows where that customer is searching from based on their IP address, Google's going to show those results over showing you in the results, given everything else being equal. Everything's equal websites, equal amount of reviews, great reputation, everything's equal, but companies A, B, and C are just 10 or 15 miles closer to the customer than you. They're going to get that lead. You're not going to show up in that top 3 results. You might be 4 or 5, but you're typically not going to make that page 1 visibility that we're all really striving for. So that's something really to remember. Customers' location will always matter. It matters for SEO. It matters for these Google local service ads. It doesn't matter for pay-per-click. You're just paying for clicks. Google will take all the money that you'll give them. They'll never throttle your budget. They'll never not give you leads. If you want to pay for it, they're going to give them to you. And the one thing that will help you get into results is the review score that Google calculates for you, the number of reviews you have. So recall that we just did a webinar workshop on reputation a couple months ago. So if you need to, go give that a watch. That's on our YouTube channel. We did that back in June. So you can look up that replay, or if you want, just let me know and I'll throw out a request in chat and I can send you a link to it, to that URL. But obviously, the more really good reviews that you have, the more Google will like you and the more your potential customers will be interested in consulting with you on their project. Also, a factor is how interactive you're being with the Google Local Services ad platform. In other words, how responsive are you to customer inquiries and leaving notes in the dashboard to let Google know that you're staying on top of things? This is crucial, so don't underestimate actually engaging in that platform, using every button, every tool they have. Your business hours will also be a factor in rankings. Another factor is whether or not you've received any serious or repeated complaints about your company. Remember, these are Google guaranteed. Google's backing you up. So you're doing, crappy work, you're ripping off customers, you got BBB complaints, whatever. That's not going to fly with Google. So you got to be on the top of your game. And I know everyone on this call definitely is on the top of their game. And then lastly, Google's going to try to spread out your budget over time. Google doesn't want you spending your entire budget early on in the billing period, obviously. So if your ad is generating leads more quickly than your budget can handle, you may see your rankings and your page 1 visibility affected, or even see your ad pause temporarily in order to more evenly spread out your leads. Google always, they have an interest in distributing those leads to many different remodelers and home improvement companies in order to build their own customer base. They want as many customers paying them money as they can, versus just giving all the leads to the one contractor that says, I'll spend $100,000 a month and I'll take all the leads, whatever that unlimited budget may be. That wouldn't be fair. This is the kind of David and Goliath parable here. So Google tries to even that playing field out a little bit, so everyone kind of gets the chance to compete. But again, you have to meet that review score. You got to be using the platform, so you got to make sure you're doing everything you can, as well as counting on Google to help you out. How do you win with Google local service ads? First, dial in your service area. Optimize your profile with photos, reviews, set your budget as high as you can afford, and then also engage on the platform like I was talking about. Make sure you're keeping notes as you follow up on a call, as you take a call. Make sure that you show that your jobs are complete, and then you can close those jobs out and archive them. It's actually like a sales pipeline within the dashboard. As you move your customer through that pipeline, it lets Google know what's going on. And obviously, Google wants to work with contractors that are good partners for them, letting them know what's going on. Where are you with that sale? Did you call back? Have you booked it? Have you done it? Are you closed out? Have you sent the review request? All that kind of stuff. You really want to interact with the platform, and to deal with your disputes as well. Don't pay for leads that you shouldn't be. So make sure you're following up on that. We do this for our clients because there could be a lot of back and forth with Google to get things resolved. So we just kind of try to take that off their plate for them. And then really important is to drive verified reviews. Do these jobs on Google's local services ads platform. If these jobs came from that platform, then request feedback from the customer from the platform so that you can build your verified reviews base. And Google will see that. The better you are doing this, the more successful you will be with the Google Local Service Ads platform. And I'll show you what those verified reviews are here in just a second as well. Make sure you're also targeting 85% booking rate in the reporting dashboard. Remember, what you measure, you can improve upon. And you really want to make sure that you're booking most of these appointments. I mean, you're not going to book them all for different reasons, maybe unqualified, whatever side, conversations going sideways. But really, you want to show Google that you're a contractor that can handle the work. You know how to handle sales. You know how to build relationships with customers. And you're booking all these calls because that's going to make Google think, hey, this is a contractor I want to be in partnership with. Basically, they're going to send you all these leads because they think that you're a top-notch contractor. You can handle it. You've got your stuff dialed in. So these are kind of all some of the biggest factors that really will dictate your success on scoring more sales opportunities here. The first thing to do is dial in your profile. So let's talk about that. Open up your budget if you can. These really are some of the most cost-effective leads you're going to get. So put in as much as you can, even $2,500 a week, even if you're not going to spend that, you have no intention of spending that. But the bottom line is you probably have no chance of ever hitting that budget because we talked about how Google's going to spread those leads out. So just let Google know you're open to it. And then if you do get an influx, then you can, kind of tune it down a little bit, dial that budget down if it's sending you, underwater. But then, since you're going to be watching your budget, or our team, our account managers will be watching your budget for you. You can always just move that budget, dial it down. If leads are going crazy, I doubt that's going to happen. I've never heard anyone saying leads are going crazy in Google Local Service Ads. You just can't get enough typically. But that's how you can handle that. And then update your ad schedule too. In other words, set your hours for when you're able to answer the phone. This isn't like on Google Maps where some of you are setting your hours as open 24 hours a day. Google wants you answering the phone on these calls. Again, they're recording those calls. They're paying attention to how you are at customer service, and not answering your phone is not good customer service. Get a live person on there, even an answering service. That's considered a live person, a live call. They may not be able to have all the answers that you have, but at least it's a real person answering the phone. Now, so do the best you can there. We always recommend having answering services if you can't answer your phone 100% without fail. And it's hard because a lot of you guys are on jobs. Maybe you're up on a ladder or up in an attic or something. So you do what you can, but remember, this is a ranking factor for the algorithm here. And then remember here too that Google is measuring every data point in order to provide the best user experience for their customers. So you don't want unanswered calls being a negative ranking factor. Again, man, it's all about UX, user experience. Is that user, is that consumer, that Google customer, in other words, are they having a great experience on your platform? And then make sure you're setting up your business bio, selecting all of your exact services, job types, as well as setting up your service areas. That's really crucial. Updating your business hours as needed. We mentioned that. And then add photos Add lots and lots of photos to showcase your work. Also, make sure to use a great photo with some personality for your primary photo. You really want to stand out from the crowd, in other words. So don't just use one of your job photos. Don't use your picture of you. Do something like maybe you got a big team photo or something that you took. Maybe you guys are all huddled around a trophy that you just won for being the best company in the area, like something that really stands out that, makes me, it's almost like clickbait, or that you're so intrigued, you just got to click on it knowing that you're probably going to some ad or something that clickbait does. But here, they're going to click on that picture and go, oh, wow, look, they won a trophy. Well, let's look at the other pictures. Now they can look at your other project portfolio pics, maybe personality bio pics, whatever. But you really want to capture their attention. So standing out from the crowd is the best way to do that with a good personality type pic for that main cover photo. And the next step is marking your jobs as booked. Once you successfully book a consult and win that job, go into your dashboard, your local services ad dashboard, and mark that job as booked. That way Google knows. That's a data point that Google's measuring. They want to know every step along the way. So make sure to use that dashboard as they intended for you to use it. That's the key. This is why they built that dashboard. They are tracking those data points. It's not just for you to have another CRM to manage. You probably already got your own CRM. So realize that this is Google. Play Google's game with them, and you'll be well ahead of most others. And then think about in terms of the customer journey as well. So Google shows your ad. A Google customer then sees your ad. They make the call to you. You answer the call. You book the consult. You win the job. To Google, that's a great customer journey, a great user experience. This is what they want to see. That's how that customer journey is supposed to work, right? From one step to another until the job is booked. Google knows that you're a contractor that can be counted on, and you're the right company to call if you can walk your customer through that journey, no hitches, job was done, job marked complete, you sent the review request, you got a great review. Google sees all of that. So, and then make sure you're also archiving opportunities that didn't convert, so that you're letting Google know what happened to these calls. Leave notes on why, and Google's probably reading that most likely. So again, I'll just say it for effect. Use the dashboard. You really will come out a lot better and a lot more ahead of your competitors too on this platform. And then dealing with disputes for leads that are outside your services area, not in your scope of services, the other things we previously talked about. There's a dispute button that you can click on in your dashboard in order to create a support ticket and to dispute that lead. Make sure you're doing this when it applies in those situations, so that you're not losing out on any of your own advertising dollars. You don't want to be not disputing and then say you're not getting a return on investment. And one thing that we're also seeing more of these days is that Google is doing a better job at filtering calls, and they're kind of ahead of the game and marking those calls as non-leads. I kind of mentioned that earlier. In other words, they're catching us ahead of time, whereas those other lead gen platforms that I talked about, they'd rather charge you for anything and everything they can and then count on you to come back for the refund. And that just makes them more money. And I know people that have experienced this. So that's something to really watch for to make sure that you're not paying for leads that you shouldn't be. Next is driving lots of reviews with your profile. And this is something I want to talk a little more on. One thing I want to mention is that the reviews on your Google business profile, your maps listing, in other words, these reviews also carry over to your Google local services ads dashboard. So the more reviews you have on your maps listing, the more that will be featured on your local services ad listing as well. Your dashboard also features a button where you can drive more verified reviews. In other words, you're making the review request right from your local services ad dashboard to a customer that Google has already listened to that call. You've already marked that call as booked. You made notes on it, and now you're sending out that review request because the job has been complete. So that's going to give these particular reviews more credibility in Google's eyes. The one strange thing about this type of review is that it will show here in your local services ad listing, but it won't show on your Google's map listing. That's the way it is for now. Maybe Google changes that. So it works one way, but it doesn't work the other way. The Google Maps reviews will show on your local services ad listings. You need to get 5 of the reviews anyways to get Google guaranteed to get verified. So it works that way, but it doesn't work in reverse. Those local service ad reviews from the click a review request button, they don't go to your Google business profile, but they still have better quality to the review. That's why they're called a verified review. So it's kind of a one-way street in that regard, but just be aware of that in case you see discrepancies in review counts and kind of wondering what's going on. And then obviously always focus on providing great service, best-in-class customer service. Give people a reason to want to leave a 5-star review for you. And then one more note on these verified reviews here. In this review, Google, you can see they're starting to show the badge, Google verified job. This lets people know that this was a real customer that booked a real job. They got a real job completed. They got a real review from a real customer instead of all the fake shenanigans going on out there with all the fake reviews and everything. So I think this is going to be more and more important as time goes. And that's why you want to make sure you're using this platform and getting those review requests out there. This leads to more credibility to the review and then more credibility for your company, as opposed to all those, fake reviews that we know they're out there. But when your competitor has 800 reviews and you have, 20, 800 still looks like a good number to most people. They're not going to take their time to read through every review and realize half are fake. So it's just as a way to, kind of get more credibility for your reviews for your company and the great work you're doing. Booking rate, you want to make sure you're booking at a rate of 85% or better. You can do that rate in the dashboard. It shows your leads, it shows your booking rate. And by marking those leads as booked, you're also giving Google the data points that it's looking for in order to make the determination that you truly are the right contractor for them to be sending their customers to, for those customers to be working with. And then what are some of the best methods for increasing lead flow from your service ads? The biggest factor is getting as many leads as possible to open up your budget. That's how you're going to get as many leads as you can. Just open that budget up, see what it does, monitor it. When it comes to paid leads, there may not be a better and lower cost per qualified lead than Google local service ads right now. And make sure to expand your service area, your job types, your ad schedule, your business hours. You want to give yourself the best chance at showing up for as many search queries as possible. Obviously, you want jobs within your scope of service, right? But just make sure that you're not limiting your results based on not having your listing properly optimized. We talked about this a lot already, but make sure to keep up with that reporting within the dashboard. Make sure you're marking those leads as booked, as scheduled, add notes whenever possible, and then archive those jobs that you've completed. And of course, request those verified reviews on every job that comes through your dashboard. All things being equal, typically it's he who has the most reviews wins. That's really making an impact in Google's algorithm. The Google algorithm right now is as volatile as it's ever been. They've got this little volatility scale, kind of like the Richter scale for earthquakes. Google's algorithm right now is all over the board. Things are just keep shuffling every day. The volatility index is like 9.6 out of 10 right now. AI is influencing that a lot. So there's so much going on with SEO and search engine volatility, algorithm ranking volatility, all that. The biggest thing that you can do now is just keep getting reviews. That's really going to stand out in Google's eyes. Now, all these factors combined, it's what gives Google a sense that you're indeed the right company to be calling. And that's the message that you're trying to get across to Google. And so just to kind of sum up here, what you should do now, as I said, if you're already working with us, get with your account manager. We'll help you get this set up. If you're not a client of ours, go to Google, get signed up as soon as you can, go through all their verification steps, the background checks, uploading your license, all that stuff. And then make sure that you're putting tracking in place using a call tracking phone number. so that you can gauge the return on investment here. Now, this means, using a tracking number that you own, not one of Google's, and also keeping track of these leads so that you know what your own booking rate is, what your closing rate is just for the Google Local Services ad platform. This includes leveraging the platform, keeping up on data entry to list updates, and or mark jobs as closed, and just keep at this platform, keep putting money into it while the ROI makes sense, which, at this point, the ROI has been great for everyone that's using these leads. So this is definitely a time where it does make sense. At this point, I just kind of want to open up to any further questions that people may have. This is more of an educational workshop that people just don't understand local services ads yet. So more of me talking, less interaction than some of the other workshops. But I appreciate Patrick's had some comments in here. I saw one from Judy as well. Any other questions that anyone has about these ads? Definitely want to help you get the most out of this platform, what you can expect from an ROI standpoint. What does it really take to have success with these ads? If you need any help with these ads, or any other issues you're having with your digital marketing, just maybe need some guidance in the right direction, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Give us a call. We'd be happy to just chat. You always get me on the phone, and I can just kind of give you some guidelines, some pointers to really get you pointed in that direction of success and reaching bigger and bigger goals for your company. You can also book a call with me if you want to go into more detail with it. I don't see any other questions coming in right now. So I just want to thank everyone for devoting some time with me today. This is definitely a great topic to learn more on. I hope you've got some good value from it. And definitely I'll look forward to seeing you on our next trainings as we try to do these every month or so. So I'm going to sign off here. If there are no more questions, I'll look forward to seeing everyone on our next trainings as well. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day and a great rest of their week. Thanks a lot for your time again. I wish you the best of luck.